Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start off by introducing yourselves.
Okay, Ron Becker.
And Mae Becker.
And how long have the two of you been married?
A very long time.
54 years.
54
June
years.
19th.
Tell us how you met.
Well, I was in high school. I was still in high school. Ron was out of high school, and I did not know him. I had never met him. I knew who he was because I knew his sister. But we actually met on a blind date. And he called and asked me if I wanted to go to a movie, and I said yes, and I wasn't sure what I was getting into. The only thing I did know was that it was a double date, and my best friend would be on that date with a friend of his, and thought that would work, and I guess it did. 54 years later.
Mae, we'll start with you.
Well, I was born in Kelmer, or raised in Kelmer. I spent the first 18 years of my life in Kelmer. I guess growing up was a pretty ordinary time. As kids, we played outside a lot. Our neighborhood would get together after supper and play kick the can, and croquet was a big one. Bike riding was a big deal. In the summer, we'd take the bus to the swimming pool in Decorah. There wasn't a lot in Kelmer for recreation. Oh, sledding in the winter, that was a big deal. And I was a brownie and a Girl Scout, and I think that was kind of an important part in my life.
Sure.
I really enjoyed that. Summer camps, I think that's where I kind of got my love for nature. And then teenage years, I guess mostly that was sock hops. After all the football games and basketball games, there would always be a sock hop in the gym at Southwind. And dances at the Inwood in Spillville, and Arts roller rink, of course. Still remember the songs he played.
Typically, Friday night was probably the night to go out.
Friday night, yeah.
And what would teenagers do at that time?
Drive around.
Drive around.
Just drive around, put 50 cents worth of gas in the car, drive up and down, or all around Kelmer, and then up and down the main street in Decorah. We never went farther than Decorah, I don't think.
Cruising was a big
Cruising was a big deal. I went to school in Kelmer, St. Al's for grade school, and then Southwind High School. And then after that, I went to UNI for my undergrad degree and Clark College for my administrative degree, for my master's.
Okay. So you're in college approximately how many years?
Well, 4 years, 4 straight years. And then when I went to Clark, I was still I was teaching already, so I was driving back and forth at night and on weekends and summer classes. So
Where were you teaching at that time?
at DeSales.
At DeSales. You decided early that's where you wanted to teach, and
That was the first job I got, and I was there the rest of my life.
what year was that approximately?
1971. I graduated from UNI in 71, and we got married in 71 in June, and then I started teaching up here in August. So thanks to Al Kinnan was the president of the school board, I think, and he must have, I don't remember it real well, but he made some contacts with Ron's parents. He knew we were going to be living in the community, and the job was mine, so.
And to kind of inform the audience, tell us a little bit about Al Kinnan so they know his importance in the community.
Prominent person in the community. He had a large family and was active. Like I said, he was on the school board, and
But then he branched off into,
Al's famous chicken.
Yep.
Yeah, they started in a school bus, and then they had that little place next to Pam's uptown, and
Yep.
then eventually they went into a gas station,
yep,
renovated a gas station, and was the best restaurant around.
it was very popular.
Yeah.
When you started teaching, were there nuns up at the school at that
I
time?
was the only lay teacher. They were all nuns,
Oh,
as I recall. Maybe there was one other lay teacher at the time, but yeah, there was. Mr. Urach taught in middle school.
traditionally, when women were in the workplace and school teachers, that when they got married or pregnant, that was kind of the end of their career. They were expected to be housewives. In the year that you started, that was kind of a
It's kind of a transitional time, I think, when
Yeah.
women were working and staying in the workforce.
Most of your life, from what I can see, was involved not just in the community but with DeSales. What changes did you see in these sales?
Lots of changes. When I started, our class sizes were around 30. I would have 30 third graders in a classroom. In the latter years, our classes were down to 10.
Tell us a little bit about going from teaching to being principal. And what year did you become a principal?
So I had been teaching for 18 years. I taught either third grade or fourth grade or a combination during that time. And then the principal that we had was a lay principal, and she had resigned and took a job elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And they were looking for a principal, and they were not very successful. Salaries weren't high, and it wasn't attractive to a lot of people, so the pool was very slim. And I'll never forget, one of the directors from the Archdiocese that would always come around and visit our classrooms knocked on my door one afternoon when I was teaching. Mm-hmm. And she asked me if I would consider being principal. And I just laughed at her. I mean, there is no way. The farthest thing from my mind, I couldn't do it, and no, I wasn't interested. And then it went on into the summer, and they still didn't have anything. And school board members came to my house one night, and finally my arm got twisted tight enough that I said I would do it for a year. I ended up being principal for 28 years.
28 years.
So I was at DeSales a total of 46 years.
Wow. And you're still there?
And I'm still there. There were lots of changes that happened while I was principal that I feel really good about. In 89, I believe, 1989, that was the first year I started. And then we started the daycare, and we started kindergarten in the same year.
And Mae, how many siblings did you have?
One brother and one sister.
One brother, one sister. And Ron?
I had two sisters, one older, one younger.
Yeah.
I was that middle child, abused middle child.
I don't think they would agree with that.
Ron, I think we'll bring you up next. And
Yeah, I was born here in town. Decorah Hospital, but I spent my years in Ossian, same house, until I got married. They finally kicked me out.
which we must say was on Becker Avenue.
Becker Avenue, yeah. In my younger years, I spent most of the time in the neighborhood. Once in a while you get up to the school playgrounds, but the city park was that was where everybody got together. And back in those days, there weren't all the trees in the center part. There was some just along the sidewalk, those big elm trees. But otherwise, it was wide open, and there was a ball diamond up there. And
there's a ball diamond.
Yeah, home plate was where the swing set is now. I mean, it was just grassy, just worn out spots for the bases, you know. But it worked.
Sure.
And there were lots more kids in the town.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of kids. Well, it supported two schools, and it was just Ossian kids, you know. So, yeah, there was a lot of kids in town.
Things we talk about from your generation, our generation, and tell his generation that back then you left home in the morning, you stayed outside all day, maybe come home for dinner.
When the fire whistle blew.
Yeah, fire whistle blew. And then otherwise you're outside until supper time.
That's
and then went back out again.
And nobody worried about you.
No.
There was no need to worry. I mean, it was safe, and you might get in a little trouble, I suppose, but not much.
If you got out of line, you always had
somebody would tell on you.
Yeah, that's right.
And your means of transportation were your feet or a bicycle.
That reminds me of high school. Nobody had a car, or very, very few. College, nobody had a car, or most of us didn't have a car. So when you wanted to come home for the weekend, you put a note up on a bulletin board. Is anybody going to Decorah or Kelmer or Ossian? And then you'd get a ride with them.
So I didn't have my first car until it was a year out of high school.
Year out of high school.
Yeah. I was very fortunate. I could always, pretty much any time, use my folks' car. Yeah, that was another thing when we were in high school, when they still had the Ford dealership. God, you'd go down after school and in September when the new cars came out. oh man, you just couldn't wait to get down there and look at the new cars.
Sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of teen years, what did you do in Ossian and surrounding areas for your teen years?
Well, it's still pretty much arts roller rink for either skating or dances. Once somebody had a driver's license, so modders. There was a good band. You just went
Sure.
whatever direction. Back when I was growing up, the town and the rural area around town, I mean, that's where just everyone met, was in town. On Wednesday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights,
The community kind of self-supported.
Oh, yes.
And you being the child of parents that ran a store, what was that like at that time? Were you...
Oh, from probably 8th grade on, I worked at the store. There were some Wednesday nights, Friday nights that I would help up at the store. There was always a lot of people in town.
I know Decorah had cruising. Ossian, did it have much for cruising back then?
Yeah, Main Street. Yeah, you'd go from church to Carey's and church to Carey's.
And then you guys would all hang out at Chuck's station.
Yeah, either Chuck's or Carey's, either one. I guess when I was later in high school, Chuck's was probably the main place. Yeah.
And he accepted you guys? He
Oh yeah.
didn't care?
Yeah, he liked the conversation.
His kids were part of it,
Sure. Yeah.
Ron and Dave.
But yeah, you'd go up there and wash your car and hoot and holler.
I can still see him in the evenings with his hose washing off his concrete.
That's
Kept
something.
that place so
Yeah,
clean.
and Bob Carey too.
Yeah.
They were the best
Hitchhiking.
years. I think back, and I think, of course, everybody thinks that, but I think we grew up in the best time.
In a previous interview, you talked about the history of Becker Hardware, how it's been in your family for how many generations. Do you want to tell us about that again?
Sure. My great grandfather came from Epi, Germany. Not sure his age, but as a young man. And the first couple of years, he ran a saloon. And then in 1885, he started a hardware store, which would have been on the north side of the street. I'm not sure which building it was, but in 1895, he bought a lot, which the store is on today, and built a 2-story building. The hardware store was on first floor, and there was an outside stairway that went up to second floor, and they lived in the back part of that for a couple of years. And in the front, they had a dance hall, which was all just for a few years too. Charles, one of the sons of Joseph, took over the business, and he ran it until 1948. And he had died of a sudden heart attack, which was very unexpected. And by that time, my dad had been back from World War II. Then he stepped in, and my grandmother actually owned it for a few years, and then my dad bought it from her. And then in the fall of '64, I started working there full time. And I took over in 1985. We wanted the boys to do something for a couple of years. They knew they wanted to come back to the store, but they went to school and went right to work.
Now they took over the store? And what year was that happened?
Well, gosh, I believe it was 2013.
And do you think their kids are going to take over the store one day?
Oh, they talk like it. I don't know. They're young. They're 13. The older ones are 13.
And I think we'll hopefully do what we did with our kids. We didn't put that expectation on them.
Yeah.
If there's something else you want to do,
Yeah.
that's perfectly okay.
So your kids are the 5th generation running the store?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And this year is celebrating the 140th year.
Is that the oldest business in Ossian then?
Yeah,
Probably,
family business, yeah.
probably.
Family-run business, and even beyond Ossian, I think we've heard one of the oldest family-owned businesses maybe in the state.
sledding at Livery Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to talk about that?
Yeah. When we were growing up, and, that used to be, well, there was actually two hills. So Livery Hill right next to the store, and then down at the bottom of the hill, and then going to the west, that hill was also used. But the main one was right next to the store. And back in those days, they didn't salt streets, and they pretty much let the snow get packed down, and they'd put stop signs down at the bottom of the hill so the traffic would stop and look, to see if anybody was coming.
And you'd go right through those people's yards.
Yeah, you'd get to the bottom of the hill, and you'd go right between the two homes, and there was a little hill behind the one house, and so you'd get almost back to where the sewer plant was.
Was Christmas time a big time in town?
Oh yeah. There was usually, I don't know if it was a commercial club, I suppose it was called in those days.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have drawings on Friday nights. And of course the stores were all open and very busy.
And you could do all your Christmas shopping in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember at the hardware store, even after I was on the scene,
Yeah.
men would come in on Christmas Eve and buy their wife a Christmas present, and they'd gift wrap it at the hardware store. It might be a toaster or a mixer.
That hasn't changed. Buying a gift on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
But there were enough of a variety of stores in town where you could get anything you wanted. There were clothing stores and gift stores and hardware stores. And
Let's talk about hardware stores, because before Everett opened up Western Auto down the street, what was your parents' competition?
Well,
Was there
I would have probably been pretty young, but Kleizer's,
Kleizer's?
where Two Trees Pizza is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a hardware store. I don't think they ever were into like housewares and stuff like that. It was mostly farm related.
Okay.
They used to put in those hay mow carriers in barns, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I think they did a little bit of pump work in those days.
And so your parents' store at that time, what was their money maker? Their
Well, it was
heating?
well, there wasn't one back in the days.
Okay.
There was no plumbing and heating. It was space heaters. Oil and coal, wood space heaters. There wasn't electricity, so those early years it was a lot of dinnerware, knives,
glasses and
glassware.
dishes. And
Yeah. Then once electricity came in, you had your kitchenwares, toasters.
Yeah.
So you've got a good Eddie Clark story, if you're using names.
Sure.
Yeah. He was a character, very talented upholstery.
Very talented.
Person, but
And his wife was a character.
yeah.
Yes.
But the first building down at the senior housing was being built, and Mae's brother and I were working down there, and it was quitting time, and we were loading up the truck, and
And it was Christmas time.
oh yes, it might have been even Christmas Eve, and we noticed there was some commotion going on across the street where Ed lived, and there was some loud voice exchange on the porch, and Ed comes out and gets in his car, and he threw something out in the street, and he backed up his station wagon, and he backed over it, and he drove over it, and he backed up again, and drove over it. Come to find out, well, Tim and I went over to see what he was driving over, and there was a house coat bathrobe, and so we took it over went to the porch and knocked on the door and gave it to Mary Frances. Ed was mad, or Mary Frances, I should say, was mad. That was the third year in a row that she got a robe for Christmas. And so he went uptown, and of course, I suppose he...
Did you tell her it was better than a toaster?
Right.
But yeah.
But he was a character.
So from that point, you think he went up down and
Oh yeah.
washed his cares
Sorrows
away?
away.
You know, another one comes to mind too is the Vollen boys.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
They had the reputation of building good things, but they also had a reputation for partying
Yeah.
real hard. Or
Yeah.
They built this
socializing.
house.
They built this house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half the houses in town, I think they built.
That's in those days. Yeah. Probably more than that.
And they'd work together all day and never talk to each other. They just knew what they were gonna do, and you never heard them.
But you're right about
Confer with each other.
and that partying started when they got to the job in the morning. They drank beer all day.
They did. They drank while they worked.
We had a cooler sitting on the floor here and an appliance box for the empty bottles and cans, and I mean it's not that they drank all day long, but
No, but just
yeah, they may walk in the door in the morning with a beer in their hand. You know, might stop at 10 o'clock and have a beer, and then a beer at noon, beer in the afternoon.
And what year was your house built?
They started September of 71.
No, 74.
Excuse me, yeah, 74.
And that was still going.
And I think that's wrong too, 75. It was
Maybe
right.
it's 75, yeah.
It was September of 75 and we moved in February of 76. Yeah, it didn't affect their work whatsoever. You know,
They were amazing.
And I know they were hard workers. Speaking about that, one of the things I remember is at Christmas time, all the stores, gas stations, it seemed like people would bring in a bottle of something and they'd have a table sitting there
Yeah.
and you'd show up and people would be Christmas Eve afternoon, people are sitting around having drinks.
yeah.
And they didn't care how old we were.
That was a bad
Close to
habit,
18.
you know.
Yeah.
So many people, you know, they'd get home late for
Yeah.
Christmas Eve and half snockered up, you know, and it just wasn't a good thing.
No,
But that's what, you know, and most of your customers, they expected to get a drink or a beer on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. They'd come in and it's just something that everybody did.
people would be smoking openly in your
Oh,
store.
yeah.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
In the doctor's office, for God's sakes.
The doctor himself.
Doctor.
Yes, right, yes. I won't mention any names, but I can remember going down for whatever reason, and you wouldn't happen to have a cigarette, would you? You know, and you'd sit
From
there.
the doctor?
Yeah, you'd sit there and have a cigarette while you were talking. You know, just crazy.
How long ago was that when we started the Blue Moon? Was that the first restaurant?
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah,
And what it was before that, that was right after
Kale's Market, yeah. Probably started out with 4 of us that threw some money together and bought the building and started gutting it. Boyke's were next.
Like he's John Mahoney was.
Yes, but Boyke's ran it for a couple of years.
In retrospect, I think that Boyke's were probably the most successful in because they had the breakfast and
Yeah.
lunch.
Yeah.
And John came in and was like, let's do dinner.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a hard thing. How long were you on the fire department?
You know, I don't remember just how many years it was.
Quite a few.
Yeah, it was quite a few. Howard Brechtel was there until,
Yeah. Howard was very active for not being from the community.
Yeah.
Really.
yeah, he was mayor and fire chief.
Yeah.
Ron has a story about and at that time the fire whistle would blow. I mean, so the whole town knew there was a fire. And you're gonna have to tell this
Oh.
story, but
The fire in town here. you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were living here and fire whistle blew and I was driving up the street and Carl Wilchin was just leaving too. And we got up to the stop sign and Ray Hageman lived up there. He'd built that brick house right there on the corner. And so he just stopped and he was waving his arms and he said there's fire, there's smoke coming out of the house. And I said, are you sure? I said, that's not where the fire is. It was out north of town where Neil Wanksness lived out. And anyway, we ran over there and sure, I mean, there was a fire you know, the door was hot, and,
Oh,
but we ran uptown to check and see where, because the fire trucks weren't showing up. And they were already gone to that fire. I said, well, there's also a fire right up the street. And they ended up getting the old fire truck out.
36.
Yeah, there was a couple guys that hadn't gone out to the other fire yet. And of course, it was just a small little building. I think it was next to a gas barrel. That's why they were concerned out there. But anyway, the trucks ended up getting back there. But once the equipment got there, we could open up the front door, because we didn't want to open it up and let oxygen in there. Sure. We didn't have any, but anyway, no, it wasn't. His name wasn't. It was. He was laying right by the door. He was dead.
Oh.
But anyway, we got him pulled out, and I think it was ambulance. They picked him up in order to take him to the funeral home. Somebody had to pronounce him dead, but Doc Goggin was living up on the corner. And the guys, I wasn't along, but the guys went up there and knocked on his door, and he got some dress that was in the winter. And he went out to the ambulance and opened up the door, and he looked and he goes, oh my, his color isn't very good. And he said it as a joke, of course, you know.
Sure.
But it was, you had to know Doc Goggin.
I remember. You got the two boys, which you're very fortunate. I've told you that many times, that
Yeah.
you're fortunate that you had sons that took over the business, and hopefully they have kids that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it changes almost every couple of years, you know, that you just got to keep up with times and try to. But back when I first started, you know, we just had just one truck, and then we got the second one, and ended up getting a well pulling pump rig, and it was just an old homemade one, the first one we had. And then as years went on, we bought a factory unit that was much more adaptable to the deeper wells today.
And what prompted you to get the first basket truck?
The first basket truck is, we got one after I had broke my leg. I was on top of a pole, and the pole was rotten, and it went over. It was up on top, I suppose 25 feet in the air. So we decided after that and that was just
climbing poles.
Kind of a homemade rig too, but then we got other basket trucks as the years went on. But it was, and then I don't know, I can't think of what year it was, but then we bought the lot from Francis Winholt and put up a warehouse down on the other side of the alley. And
Can you answer me the question, what was that lot? Was that the hatchery?
it was, the hatchery, and then Ray Winholt had his truck semis, and he worked on his tractors in there. And then in 2009, Art Hemsod decided he wanted to sell the building next to us, which Strand had the office building and stuff in, and the telephone company was in there, had an office in there. And so Ryan and Regan bought that as an investment and made payments to Art. And then it was the following year, we dug out behind and put up the two-story addition onto that building and expanded the store. Put an office in the back of our building.
That was a huge improvement.
Yeah. Then in 2019, the boys bought Tom Hageman's buildings.
And you got, how many people are employed there now?
Well, there's 5 regular guys out on the job, and then Ryan and Regan, I would say they're part of that. So there'd be 7 people that are in the field. And there's, there was, Joyce is still part-time, but Diane And then we got 2 high school girls.
And Adam.
And Adam, of course, Adam. He's our Milwaukee man.
Any future advice from the two of you?
Be active in the community, whichever community you're in. Try and do whatever you can do to support the community. It takes a lot of hands.
I would agree with all of that. From my perspective, when you live in a city, you can be invisible. You don't have to be involved in anything. I mean, people don't know their next door neighbors. But I think in a small town, everybody needs to be a part of it, work together. Like I said, that's how you take ownership in it, and you take pride in the community, and it's the only way you make things happen. And Carey's Park has been a wonderful thing. I mean, that's really, last year and this year, it's really taken off, where we're providing family entertainment. Where the whole family can come, and if kids want to go and play while the parents are listening to music or movies, there's food trucks there. So I think we've worked hard. Those things are real positives, I think, for the community.
This last year, anyway, you can see just going to the Crown Club meetings that there's more and more younger people that are starting to step up.
Yeah.
And they're doing a good job. And fresh ideas.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
the younger people have got different ideas, and that's what we need, is the ideas and the people.